Author Life show. My name is MG Hunt, and today I'm here with a wonderful indie and traditionally published author who loves to write books about people falling in and out and then back in love. Welcome to the show, Emma Mugglestone. Thank you so much for being here today, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
It's my
I'm
pleasure.
very excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're excited because, we've got a lot to get into about
We do.
your writing life because you've had quite a transformation in going from a self-published author to then the traditionally published space, which is something that I think a lot of self-published authors dream of. And I think there's no kind of other way to put it. I think it is a dream, an aspiration to be traditionally published. So I can't wait to get into all that stuff and your journey, that is. It's so inspiring,
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you to say.
Oh, of course. Like I actually was, and I'm sure you receive a lot of DMs and pictures about this, but when I was at Melbourne Airport, when was it? When I went to Adelaide a couple of weeks ago, I went into the WHS and I saw in the romance section your book, and I thought, oh, that is a moment. That is a moment.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm going to be chatting to the wonderful Emma. I have met her. So it was just like, oh, so exciting to see that. So I'm sure you get a bit of a buzz every time that people,
Yeah, definitely.
send you messages about that.
That was like one of the things that was always on my author bucket list was that I wanted to have, I call it being an airport author.
Yeah.
I just really liked the idea of one of my stories, meeting people as they go off on these adventures where they're traveling, if you like to see family or friends, or they're just going maybe solo travel or, whatever, like, it just was something that was on my list for so long. And I had sort of thought, because like you say, I indie published my initial series. I was like, well, maybe one day. And then in the long run came about under surprising circumstances, which I'll tell you about when we get to it.
Yes, please.
But it just was, I didn't think it would happen so soon. Like it was something that was going to be like a lofty goal for far in the future. And it's like, I love seeing my books anywhere. Obviously, I'm sure you're the same. When you see your book out in the real world in whatever capacity, it's thrilling.
It is thrilling.
But because I had this, God, one day wouldn't it be great if I could be an airport author? It's just been like, when I see pictures of it at the airport, it's extra special.
It's so special. And I think it does give a bit of a sense of hope, a sense of like, wow, you can do this when you are a self-published author. And
of course.
Yeah, being an airport author is achievable. And it is like such a joy to pick up a book on your travels as well.
Yeah.
When you're like, yep, I'm going to go grab this and this is going to be the book of my holiday sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's super cool. Yeah, I should get into maybe asking a little bit more about you in particular, Emma. So I'm wondering if you can give us an insight into your background and where you grew up.
So I grew up in Cairns in far north Queensland before my family moved to Brisbane when I was in primary school. And then I spent the rest of my schooling and university in Brisbane. And that's where a lot of my family still is. So Brisbane, I live in Melbourne now, but Brisbane is still very much so a home feeling for me. And when I met my now husband, he was in the army. So we moved around a little bit before we eventually settled in Melbourne now. And as much as I love Brisbane, it gets very hot there.
It does.
I'm still definitely a Queenslander, but whenever we get there and it's in summer, I'm like, oh, you are not acclimatized anymore. You've been away for like 20 years, but it's you're not used to this anymore.
No.
So yeah, Melbourne feels a lot like home as well now, which is really lovely. I like both places.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. And it's really interesting that you've moved from some different places. I mean, Melbourne of all places, it is so different from Brisbane and Cairns in particular. The weather.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what
Yeah.
I would prefer.
I prefer cold over hot.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm quite happy in a Melbourne winter. It's
yeah.
just that the Melbourne winter stretches a little bit too long sometimes.
It does. And then sometimes the summer stretches a bit too long as well with those 40-degree days. So
Yeah,
what can you
definitely.
do? There's
I
just
just
no,
complain a lot really about the weather.
yeah, we all
I'm
do.
never satisfied.
So you're a true Melburnian,
Yeah, I
really?
feel like I've been here
Yeah.
for a long time. I'd like to be a Melburnian while still retaining my Queenslander status if possible.
Yes.
Like dual citizenship, kind of.
Exactly. Dual stateship. It's no
Yeah.
problem. And so how long have you been in Melbourne for then?
We've been in Melbourne proper since 2012. So a
Oh,
long time now.
wow.
Like
Yeah.
it really does feel like my home now.
Yeah.
And it's, where my kids were born and this is where it's their home.
This is
So
your home.
I can't imagine moving away from Melbourne, but you should never say
Yeah.
never.
Never say
But I'd be
never.
surprised if we were
Yeah.
to move somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think once you have kids, it can be one of those things where it's like stability is really
Absolutely.
handy. And
Yeah.
of course, like even though your career with writing, unless you have a day job or other sort of
Not at the
things as
moment. No, I'm writing full
yes,
time at the moment. So I mean, I could write anywhere, really. Let's face it.
exactly.
All I need is my laptop
Yeah.
and an internet connection, so I can procrastinate on
Yeah.
the internet instead of writing. So yeah,
Agree.
I could really be anywhere. But our lives are firmly entrenched in Melbourne at the moment, which is really
Yeah.
lovely.
Are you a big advocate of writing in a cafe or anywhere else other than a desk, or do you prefer your
I'm
space?
I'm not so much of a cafe writer
Mm-hmm.
because I am easily distractible. But I
Yeah.
do enjoy, I write at my local library pretty regularly because I mean, the bulk of my writing probably happens at home, definitely.
Yep.
But there are some days where, especially if I know I need to focus or I need to really get something done, I will go to my local library, which has a really lovely quiet room.
Yes.
And it's just so that I don't, because I use writing sprints. I don't know if you use writing sprints when you're drafting, especially, or if how your writing is structured.
Not as probably as often as I probably could make use of it, but you tell me about your writing sprints because that sounds really cool.
Well, I do writing sprints because especially if I'm at home,
Mm.
if I don't give myself permission to have a little break, I will write for 30 or 40 minutes and then I'll have maybe 10 to 20 minutes off depending on what I'm doing.
Yep.
And if I don't give myself that permission to have that time off, I will just distract myself around the house by I better peg out the washing. Maybe I should do this. I've got some phone calls to make for appointments or
Anything else other than it.
I will and all of a sudden it'll be like 12 o'clock and I've not written anything because I've created busy work for myself.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do writing sprints, I mean, I almost always give myself, I get the kids to school.
Yep.
And then I give myself about an hour to get emails that have come in that need to be actioned, writing related or not, a few little odds and ends done. It's usually when I walk my dog as well, particularly as we head into the warmer months where it gets a bit too hot to go later in the day.
You got yeah.
I give myself that time because I also find it hard to focus and be creative if I know there's all this stuff that needs to happen as well. So if I can give myself that hour and get it all done or done enough, then I shift to writing sprints because if I sit at my computer and write all day, I tend to also chase word counts. I always have a word count goal because I find it's just easier.
Yep.
And it's very, very rare for me to miss a word count. I almost always will hit it.
Wow.
But there's a balance between setting a word count goal that is achievable and not making it too high. Because if I make it too high, I will still hit it, but I will generate rubbish
At
to
what
hit it.
cost?
This is the thing I was saying. I did a workshop at a library the other night and I was saying to them, one day I was determined that I was going to hit my word count goal. So I wrote about a Halloween party. My story is not set in October. There will be no Halloween in my story. So these are pointless words, really. Like, okay, yes, I got to know my characters a little bit better and it was cute, but I'm going to pull it out of the story. It's not staying because it doesn't serve a purpose.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a real balance with finding that magic number, which changes depending on the story too.
Yes,
and
certainly.
what other deadlines and things I have going on from like the author business side of things. To making it an achievable one that I'm going to get the dopamine hit from hitting it, but I'm also going to get valuable words out of it. And sprints really helps me.
That's something I might adopt into my practice. I do little sprints as such, but they tend to be a lot shorter. And I do feel like I can have an attention, not like I have a extremely short attention span, but sometimes it feels like it when you're writing. And I think maybe there's a part of your brain that I just feel like I'm running on like super, I don't know, I'm running on like high when I have to put out the words. There's just a lot. So I need a break and I need to do
Yeah.
like I can write a lot for 10 minutes and then I need to stop for 5. Then I'll go back
Yeah.
into it and all that stuff. So it's really interesting to hear how different people approach creating the words and writing and sitting down because some people can just sit for a whole day, go for
Yeah,
it.
totally. I think it's just obviously all our brains now creativity work in different ways.
They do.
And like you say, like if I sit down at my desk and I write all day, I reckon I will probably generate the same number of words as if I do 2 to 3 30 to 40 minute sprints because
Really
it takes me longer because it feels more tiring to me to do it that way.
yes, tiring.
Whereas if I'm doing it in a sprint, it's because I'm like you only have to do this for 30 minutes. Then you can stand up and go and do something else for a little bit. You can stare at your phone and doom scroll if that's what you want to do, but you're going to get a break from this
Yeah.
if you need it. And I always leave myself a little note like this is what I think happens next, just so that it's easier to jump back into hopefully what I'm doing. And when I was drafting the book I've been working on now, which will be the third book in my Wattle Junction series,
Ooh,
I really struggled with it.
yeah.
And for the first time ever, I stopped in the middle of sentences. I stopped in the middle of scenes. I was like, nope, you've done your 1,000 words. You are done. You can go now.
Yeah.
And I would just leave myself a little note. I think this is what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I found it like so freeing rather than normally I would almost always finish a sentence. And I would mostly finish a scene as well, unless there was a huge amount left to come. Then maybe I would find a really natural stopping point for it. But I would almost always do a little bit extra to give myself that continuity, I guess, for when I came back to it. But with Teddy's book, I was like, nope, peace out, you're done. Go do something else, you're free. And that really helped me to actually finish Teddy's book.
Wow, that's really interesting. I think because it does take a lot of mental energy to get into certain storylines. Some storylines can feel a little bit natural. Like I feel like when I'm writing a battle scene, which I know is quite different to I don't think that's probably anything that your books include.
No, not yet. But
no, not yet.
I'll come to you for tips.
Oh, well, I can certainly try elemental magic if you need anything like that.
Thank you.
But I feel like when it's something high energy, I feel like I can flow a lot easier and I will commit to the writing of the entire scene. But when it comes to like dialogue and the slower moments and explanations and that kind of thing, I think I'm more like yourself where it's like, I need to take a break, just sit on it, think about it. I write a little note on my document, actually. It's funny that you mentioned the notes. It's like, next step, this will happen and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll be going about my day. I'm still thinking about it. And then I go, oh, actually, I kind of want to change it. By the time you get back to it, then the idea is there. And my day job, in my day job, I'm a graphic designer. And I feel like there's an overlap in the type of thinking that I do for approaching the projects that I do at work. Say at the end of the day, I'm working on something and I just don't have it. Even though I've got in the back of my mind thinking, oh, I could go this way, but it's just not working. And you take a step back. I come back the next day, fresh eyes. There we go. Easy.
Yeah.
I've got it. And that kind of is the same with my writing and figuring out where things go in dialogue. Sometimes you do need time away from the project to come up with the ideas.
Totally agree.
Yeah, really interesting how our brains work like that. I do have another question for you out of curiosity, because you said that you went, you did your tertiary education in Brisbane. Is that right?
Yeah, I did it QUT.
QUT.
University of Technology.
There you go. And were your studies related to writing or anything like that?
No, I've got a Bachelor of Business. It's very, very dusty.
Amazing.
And well, I have this distinct memory of being in year 12. You know how you submit like your uni preferences, or if you're interested in a TAFE course or an apprenticeship or whatever it is that you
Yep.
you want to do,
Mm,
you obviously have to apply for it. And I
yeah.
have this really clear memory of thinking about how much I'd loved English and writing and being creative. But I
Yeah.
also really enjoyed business studies,
Yep.
and I didn't enjoy accounting, but I could see the value of it.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, a business degree is actually going to be a lot more useful, probably. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
But within the business degree, I double majored in marketing and what
Interesting.
was the other one? Something else
Very
creative.
valuable.
Can't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
Advertising. Look at that. Look at
Advertising.
that. Follow me for
Oh,
tips on how to
yes.
be good at your job. Forget what you studied.
That's
Yeah, marketing and advertising. So it was always the creative side that I was drawn to. And even when I was working in businessy sort of roles, they were
mm,
always like, I was part of a team that would do recruitment advertising for
uh-huh.
ABC Learning Centres. They were the
Yes.
childcare centres that were really popular in the early 2000s and
Yeah.
so
Yep.
forth.
Hmm.
And so we would, write all the copy for the ads and design them in InDesign and things like that. So it was
Ooh.
always the creative side that spoke to me the most. And
Wow.
probably it would have been smarter in hindsight to do a creative writing degree,
Oh,
but that's what hindsight is. I
yeah.
wouldn't have known. I didn't know that. So,
You
and
don't know it
I'm
at the time.
glad that I've followed the path that I have, and I took my time with figuring out what I want to do
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff, because I think it's so much to ask. In Queensland, when I finished, I was 17. I think they're probably
Yeah.
a little bit older now because there wasn't a prep year when I was at school,
Ah, yes, yes,
and
yes.
stuff like that. So it's so
Mm.
much to ask kids, because we are still kids at this stage.
Yep.
Make this big decision about your future
Yeah.
now.
It's stupid.
I
I
don't
just think
know.
about it so often about how it does feel anxiety inducing to put yourself back into the shoes of your mindset when you are 17, 18, thinking about, okay, I'm going to give this a go and hope for the
Yeah.
best. And where will I end up? I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. And it is a lot of pressure. I remember my tertiary education background is in visual arts and an arts degree in sociology. And I remember, especially with the visual arts part of things, a lot of people in my degree had either taken a gap year or
Yeah.
were probably coming into it as adults that have had life experiences, and therefore the quality of their art that they made was so much more profound than what I could conjure up in my 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old brain. Having said that, though, I don't regret doing that.
No.
I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm the same as you, where it's not like necessarily what I do now. I mean, look, I did a diploma of graphic design, which then helped me get into graphic design. And I love that. But as far as my dream of writing, it did actually spur from, well, I was more interested in the illustrative part of it. So
Mhm.
graphic novels and that kind of thing. And writing was a natural progression from there to express the story. But it was something in the back of my mind thinking, I think it was always there, even though
Yeah.
I didn't do it as a degree. So you don't need to do it in order to go ahead and just do it, which is
No,
case
I
in point.
like
Yeah.
you
Yes.
learn to write through writing. I really think that's true. And reading is a huge part of it as well. I would say to anyone who thinks that maybe they might like to be a writer, I would really strongly encourage them to just read as much as they can, because you learn so much
Yes.
from what other people have done.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I find that I sort of read in two different modes
Hmm.
almost. Like there
Hmm.
sometimes I'm just reading for enjoyment. I'm just in the flow of the story, going along with it, having a great time. But if my writer brain is switched on,
Yeah.
I'm reading quite differently. And it's quite critical, not in a nasty, I'm not looking for problems sort of thing.
No,
It's just
no.
critical in that I'm just looking at what the author has done and how they've
Yes.
how they've done these things because it's so interesting. And obviously, all our author voices are unique to us.
Yeah.
It's just really, I'm fascinated by other people's author voices.
Absolutely. It's all a unique expression of how
Yeah.
we approach it. And it is the same with art and illustration. A lot of the time, I will be interested in looking at what other people do so that I can go, oh, I like that idea. I'm going to recreate my illustration to have this kind of hair that's similar to that artist, how
Yeah.
they've done that. And yes, it is interesting with writing. I find that I learn the most about writing, weirdly enough, through listening to audiobooks. I don't know what it is. It just sinks in a little bit more into, oh, so when you've got a voice saying what is happening, it just, yeah, it gets into my brain a little bit easier that way.
Do you,
Yeah.
when you're writing, do
Mm.
you do like a read aloud edit or have
At the
Word
end,
read you? Do you do that?
I have done, and I will do it after I have completely finished the manuscript, but not as I go along. I use someone
Yeah,
that does
same.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
But before, so I do the Word read aloud,
Yep.
which I always joke about because the voice on my Word, her name is Karen, and I'm
Karen.
convinced she hates me, she hates stories, she hates the world. It's like the driest GPS voice reading you what you once upon a time you might have thought was a good story, but you're like, oh my God, this might be the worst thing that's ever been published. Or maybe it's just Karen. I'm not sure.
Well, if Karen can make it sound good, then
She
you've
doesn't.
got. Oh,
Karen never makes it. And you should, I tell you what, if you write spicy scenes and you do a Word read aloud, it is a harrowing experience to listen to this like robotic voice that quite regularly also says like double
yeah.
quotation marks,
Oh,
close. And you're like, Karen,
this is
why are you
taking
saying
me
this
out.
randomly, not on everything? But it's the best editing I do.
Yep.
I pick up so many little errors because I'm a bit of a shocker for I might write woman when I mean women or
Yeah.
this instead of that. But when you're
Interesting.
reading the edit, your eyes just kind of like move over that because your brain
Yeah.
corrects it for you and you don't even see it.
Yep.
It's the same way like there are errors in every book that is published, but oftentimes we don't even see them because we just automatically correct it before we move on.
Yeah.
But the read aloud edit is so valuable to me. And I think that sort of ties into what you're saying about audiobooks because listening to an audiobook is a different experience
Yeah.
because I just think it makes different parts of my brain light up, I
It
think.
definitely
And
does.
you just notice different things because it's a different format
Yes.
and
Yeah.
experience when you're reading that way. Because audiobooks are definitely still reading. That's a hill
Yeah.
I'm prepared to die on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's different to reading from a page or an e-reader or
Yeah.
whatever.
Because it's kind of your own voice interpreting what the words are saying. And it's not like you don't do that when you are listening, but it feels a little bit more prescriptive in how the author wants the words to be delivered. I feel like there
Yeah.
are some things that I go, yeah, I could imagine the author was saying to the audio production company, saying, like, it's like this, and this is the vibe I'm going for, and I can pick it up a lot easier. And maybe this is just a bit different with like the world building that comes with fantasy
Yeah,
books,
true.
because that's probably where I'm more interested in reading. But that's not to say that romance isn't on my, to be read list and I haven't engaged with it before. I have read some of the Emily Henry books too,
Yeah.
which I have to say I do quite like the covers for that. And when I saw In the Long Run, I was like, oh, I love this. This is giving me some beach read vibes and a different,
Yeah.
entirely new way of approaching, the
Yeah, I love that illustrated covers are so popular at the moment. My indie series also has illustrated covers because they're just my favorite. I do recognize that it
yeah.
can be confusing in
Mhm.
bookstores when they get placed in sections they probably shouldn't be in, especially books that
Yeah.
do contain
Yeah.
spice and things like that, because the illustrated covers can sort of look
Mm.
a little bit younger.
Yep.
But what a lot of traditional publishing in the long run has one as well, actually, putting a little warning on the back above the barcode that's
Oh, that's a
a
great
little
idea.
disclaimer that just says, I mean, I've got an 11-year-old daughter
Yeah.
and she's not
Yeah.
interested in these type of books yet,
Yeah.
but she does think the covers are pretty. So I can see
Yeah.
how sometimes, I mean, I think it was Icebreaker, which was
Mhm.
this huge hit. It's a hockey romance.
Oh,
It ended
yes.
up, it kept getting put near like the sort of middle grade
YA.
section,
Oh,
YA, and
okay.
it's like it's not. It's
No,
so that's, so I can see where the trouble comes from, but I do also really, really like them.
I know. I do too. I
Yeah.
think
They're
that
just so cute.
they are, and I think it does draw me in to reading a book because it does look like full of life.
Storyline we're going to explore is perhaps too
Yeah.
mature for that audience.
Yes, but the cover itself was something that it wouldn't warn people straight away that it's hard to get right because I feel like at the end of the day, a cover just needs to explain the story. It's not like a
Yeah.
warning, this is going to be not everything that is in the contents of the book needs to be described on the cover. So a lot of it does need to be, yeah, bookshops need to proceed with caution about where they put it. But
Yeah,
definitely with
absolutely.
Icebreaker, I can understand. I can, because of how it's illustrated as well, very much understand with that. But if you're ready to talk a little bit more about in the long run, I would love to know a little bit more about this
Yeah,
because it is your first traditionally published novel. Is that
it
correct?
is correct. Yeah.
Congratulations, I should say
Thank you.
formally, because that is incredible, absolutely incredible to be published traditionally. And it's through Penguin, is that right?
Yes, Penguin Random House Australia.
Perfect. Awesome. That's so cool. So, can you give us a bit of an insight into how you made the transition from a self-published author to then traditionally published author?
What happened was, it still surprises me what happened, to be honest, because I have been very happily indie publishing my Wattle Junction series, which is a series of small town romances set in this fictional town called Wattle Junction. And it's currently got two novels that are published with a bonus novella. It's sort of like
Yeah.
bonus content.
Mhm.
And there'll be another two novels that come out as part of it. It's about a family of brothers, and sort of every brother gets a book, which is very popular
Yeah.
in romance. In the romance genre, you have series
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so fun when you get to see your characters again in a different book. And so
Yes. And
I've been doing this happily for the last couple of
yeah.
years and
So
really
cool.
enjoying it. And I never pitched Wattle Junction to anyone. I really wanted to indie publish it because I thought it would be a really good way to just see how I felt having stories out in the world and sharing them with strangers and things like that, because that felt very overwhelming to me. And with indie publishing, as you know, you get to control everything. And that really
Yes.
appealed to me.
Oh, yes. I'm with you
So
there.
that's why Wattle Junction was indie published. But I got this message from Rachel Johns, who is a best-selling Australian author and just all-round delightful person, in February last year. And I know Rachel through the Romance Writers of Australia, which is a big writing organization.
Yeah.
And I got this message on Facebook from Rach, and it just said, "I've just dropped you in a Penguin Random House."
Oh.
And my immediate reaction was, this message was for a different Emma, clearly. I don't think this was for me. And when I wrote back to Rachel and I said, I don't understand, she said, yeah, they've got an idea for a romance and they're looking for someone to write it for them, maybe an indie author. It's about a run club, or they want it to be about a run club.
Wow.
And, I know that you're a runner because back when I started my Instagram and I never had anything to say, I used to post pictures of the sunrise from when I would go running. And she said, you might hear something, you might not hear something, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. So I said, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And then I didn't hear anything for a couple of months. And
Yep.
I thought, well, they must have decided to go in a different direction, or they've found someone with a much larger profile, or whatever. It is what it is.
Yep.
And then I got a message through my website from Chris Ebbs at Penguin Random House, who's now my publisher, saying, would you be open to having a meeting to discuss the potential project? Yes, I shall make myself available.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I will just check
And
my schedule.
yeah, I think I'm free, guys.
Yes. Oh my
And we
God.
ended up meeting, I think it was the next day or 2 days later or something. It was quite soon.
Yeah.
And Chris just said, we've noticed that run clubs are really trending as this new place to make romantic connections, especially on TikTok. Like, it was all over TikTok that if get off the dating apps, come to
Go
a run club sort of thing.
I've heard about
And
that.
so they said, we thought that could make a fun romance, but that was kind of the limit of the idea, just that it would be a romance
Fun.
that would involve a run club. And
Yep.
through our discussion, we sort of figured out that, okay, dual point of view is very popular in romance as well. My other books are dual point of view. I really enjoy writing both lead characters' point of view. And my books also are a bit spicy. Not
Yep.
enormously spicy, but there are on the
Perfect.
page sex scenes.
Yeah.
And, and sports romance as well. That's quite common too.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like the parameters that I was given. And then I went away for, I think, about a month or so, and I sort of thought about different opportunities that you could do within the story. I watched a lot of run club TikToks and things like that. And I noticed that the really fun ones always went somewhere after the run was finished. They'd go to a cafe and they'd get breakfast. It was quite social, not just always about dating, but it was quite social for friendship and stuff like that, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And so I thought, if what could I have in my story with the run club? And I just loved the idea of adding a patisserie, because I think, one, carbs improve everything as far as I'm concerned, as does cake.
Yes.
Like nothing. Cake can fix a lot of problems in my
sure
opinion.
can. It sure can.
So I decided that I wanted to have a patisserie, but I thought it would be really handy if the patisserie was in financial trouble and it was struggling, because like we love the sort of underdog stories across so many genres, but especially in romance. And this whole idea just kind of, for in the long run, bloomed out of that with my, my run club is called Croissants and Kilometers Run Club. And my female lead is a bookkeeper. So she'd be able to help the struggling patisserie. And the whole thing just came together, and I ended up writing some sample chapters, a synopsis, and I always do before I start. I'm not a plotter.
It's okay.
My brain just doesn't work that way. I would like to be a plotter.
You're in safe company.
I think it sounds really great if you know where the story is going. But I'm not like a full pantser either, because I have an outline. I know at certain points in the story where we're going to be, and I have a vision. Yeah, but it's not. One of my friends who writes gorgeous romances, Holly Brumbauer, she knows her individual scenes. Like, this scene will happen, then this scene, then that. And I'm like, I think at some stage they're going to go away somewhere. That's my I think that happens. And both are valid ways to do it, because we're all different. Yeah. And so, but I do spend a lot of time with my characters before I start. And it's all my characters, not just my leads, because your secondary characters are so useful as these tools to show more about your main characters. Like obviously they're characters in their own right, but that you can use them to manipulate, because that's basically what you're doing. Your main characters to show different facets of their personality and their life and why they are the way they are. Yeah. So I really spend a lot of time with my characters thinking about who they are, what makes them uncomfortable, what obstacles are they going to really struggle with. And, obstacles don't have to be negative things all the time. Some characters get very uncomfortable when things are too good. So you just overwhelm them with wonderfulness, and that is disconcerting for them. It is. But I do a lot of work with my characters, and because I like Canva and I'm easily distractible, like I said earlier, I always do I do a document for my characters and my significant settings and things like that. So I provided that as part of my sort of like pitch documents, I guess, so they could see that hopefully I knew what was going to happen in this story that was only a few chapters.
You came prepared.
And I was very lucky that when it went to acquisitions, Chris had said to me, acquisitions takes 2 weeks. Don't expect to hear from me. It's totally fine that you're not going to hear from me, because it's a process. And so I really appreciated that, because otherwise I did check my emails a lot during those 2 weeks anyway, just in case. What if there was a question? They might need me for something. And then I just got an email 2 and a bit weeks later saying, everyone really liked it. We're going to buy the whole book. And I was like, but the book doesn't exist. It's not finished. It's not finished. Like, it will be a book, but it's not a book yet. Do people know this? And that's how In the Long Run started. So it wasn't on my bingo card. I think in the back of my mind, I had always thought I would write the Wattle Junction series, and then I would figure out what I was going to write next. Yep. And eventually I would go the more, like, I guess, common route to traditional publishing attempt of, you pitch at conferences, you do the ASA speed dating with an agent, like, however it is. I just thought that maybe that would be in the future once I really wanted to finish Wattle Junction. And so In the Long Run just came out of the blue and became this wonderful opportunity and experience. And now it's a traditionally published book. I'm still confused as to how it happened.
Well, it's interesting that you say you're confused because I feel, look, of course, it was a chance encounter where it's like I with you'll have to remind me what
Rachel
the
Johns.
Rachel Johns
Yeah.
put your name forward for Penguin. And of course, that's like a chance encounter kind of thing. But it was the next step where you had Chris, is that right?
Yeah,
Who
Chris is my publisher.
your publisher have to do the research and look into who is the best fit for that. And because of your past writing with your self-published stuff, very interested in the romance genre, you have your running background as well. There was some hard work that was done behind the scenes that did all tie itself together with a bit of
Yeah,
luck and all that stuff
absolutely.
to get to this point, which I just get chills thinking about how that came to be because that is just incredible that it's happened this way. And
Yeah.
the rest is history. So how long did it take you to go from Penguin Random House saying we're going to buy the rights to the book to then having the book in your hands?
So that was, I signed the contract, I think, in June last year.
Yep.
And the book was published in August this year. So, but I first heard about it in February. Then I
Yeah.
think our meeting was in like April, May. I didn't
Work.
write anymore. I submitted my chapters,
Yes.
and I just couldn't write any more of it because I
Yep.
didn't know. And I mean, there was a
Yeah.
strong chance that it would go to acquisitions and the response might be, we like it, but we want the first 100 pages, or we want to see the whole manuscript first.
Ooh,
You know,
wow.
like
Yeah.
we're going to need more before we make a call on this. And,
Mm.
but so logically, I knew I should keep writing
Mm-hmm.
because then if that came back, I would be like, well, I've already, in the last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I've written another 4 chapters, 5 chapters, whatever it is. But I just couldn't. I was
No.
just frozen because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I guess part of me was, well, am I, if this doesn't get, I mean, the answer could have as well, it might have been a thanks, but it's not the right fit.
Yeah.
This is not what we're looking for. We don't think this is what the market will actually want, whatever.
Mm.
And I was sort of like, well, would I stop writing Wattle Junction to write this different story if I was going to self-publish it? And I don't think I would have because, I have spent the
Yeah.
last few years in Wattle Junction
Yeah.
and
Junction.
I love it there and I've really enjoyed my stories there. So I was sort of like, no, I need to stay on this track if this, but I didn't know which way it was going to go. And then as soon as I knew that the book was being acquired, because they make a formal offer and
Yep.
you can negotiate the offer, you can sign the offer, all that sort of stuff. Then it goes to the contract stage. So as soon as the offer came through, I was like, you better start writing this book again.
Yeah.
Like
It's official.
you better get your skates on, Em. It's time to
Yeah.
write this book.
Wow.
So yeah, and then I'm trying to think. I think I submitted the manuscript towards the end of October, early November. I got my edits early December. I was editing over Christmas and stuff like that. And the book was, and there's several rounds of edits as well that it goes through. We did a developmental edit, then we did a copy line edit, and then we had a proof.
Yep.
And then the book printed, I think sometime around May, the book had to go to print. So that was like, it was no backsies. We're done. We can't touch anything else now. And then it came out in early August. So it was a whirlwind, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's just been the best experience. I'm so grateful for it.
I'm so impressed that it took pretty much just over a year in a lot of ways to get it
Yeah.
from conception to birth. But it's fascinating to hear that side of things as well, because I don't think from my experience, I don't have a lot of knowledge in the traditionally published space. So to hear that from yourself, talking about the amount of edits that go back and forth with, I'm guessing it's not just one editor, or are they?
No, different ones. So Chris did my developmental edit, and then I had a lovely editor named Amanda who did the copy line edit, and then a different editor named Vanessa, who's also wonderful. She did the proof. So, and it's
Lots
but it's
of
all
hands.
it's all organized by
Yes.
Penguin, which is, different for the indie experience, where I'm not
Yeah.
sure what edits you do. For my
Hmm.
Wattle Junction series, I always do a developmental edit. I use
Yes.
Penny Carroll
Uh-huh.
for the books I've published so far, and she will do the remaining two. She is also absolutely delightful to work with and has improved my stories and taught me so much just through her
You learn
edits.
a
It's
lot.
been wonderful.
Yep.
I do my developmental or my structural with Penny, and then Jo Spears, who is a proofreader. She's also a romance author as well. Penny's a writer as well. Um,
Oh.
she does my proofs. I don't do a copy line edit for Wattle
Yep.
Junction
Yep.
because when I started, like, it's a financial decision.
That's the other thing too.
You can
Yeah.
spend as much as you want on indie publishing.
Yep.
You can,
Yeah.
you can do your own covers. You can pay for covers. I don't do
Yes.
my own covers
Yep.
because they would look very much so like, did she make this in word art?
Hey,
And
yeah.
I'm very scared about having to calculate spines and page numbers. Like, I don't want to be involved in the maths of it. No, thank you. I would rather
I
someone else do that,
understand.
please.
You definitely do
Um,
have to have a bit of a knowledge in that
yeah,
area.
it
Yeah.
scares me. It scares me. I don't want to do it. So like, you can do any budget. You can do
Yeah.
all the edits possible. You can do multiple edits. It's up to you.
Yep.
And that's the process I've used for Wattle Junction
Yeah.
that's worked for me. And
Totally.
it's allowed me to stay within my personal budget for the books and
Yeah.
things like that. So, but it's different when you're with a traditional publishing house because this is done in-house, or it's all organized by them. So
Yeah.
same with the covers and things like that,
Yes.
It's their decision at the end of the day. I'm very fortunate that I loved all the cover concepts I was shown, and my favorite one just happened to be Chris's favorite one, which is the one that we ended up with.
Which is
And
awesome. We
yeah,
love
it's
it.
such a beautiful cover.
And
And
the
it's,
dogs.
I know there's always dogs on the cover of my books. Teddy's book, which is the Wattle Junction #3, will be the first one that doesn't have a dog on it because
Oh,
Teddy just didn't get a dog. He got a
didn't get a
cat, and I
dog.
was like, well,
Oh,
okay, yeah, yeah. So
dark side.
um, I just like having the animals on the covers, and it's nice because it sort of ties them. Like, there's no relationship between Wattle Junction and In the Long Run.
Yep.
There's a little Easter egg that I put in mostly just for myself.
Oh.
But they're not, the worlds don't really overlap. They're
Yep.
totally different stories. So it's really nice that the covers fit quite cohesively together as well.
They do.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not a Wattle Junction cover because it's a different designer as well. The cover for In the Long Run was done by this wonderful artist who is different to who I've used for Wattle Junction, but they sit nicely next to each other, which is great.
Yeah, the artist might have taken inspiration from what you had previously published, maybe. I don't know, or something like
I'm
that.
not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, illustrated covers are going to be similar to
That's
a certain
true.
degree, and both of all my covers have detailed backgrounds. It's not just, sometimes you see illustrated covers and it's just the people, or it's certain elements are highlighted. Mine have always been a detailed background with the couple.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I really enjoy the covers that you've created for your romance novels, and it's a testament to how well that the Penguin Random House has honored your, not like they needed to take inspiration from your previous Wattle Junction work, but it is really nice that they match up in
is.
a lot of ways. Yeah.
It is, because I mean, if you think about it, like the business side of authoring
Yep.
with your author brand,
Yep.
and obviously
Exactly.
it's up to everybody individually how far they want to take this. If
Yeah.
they have aesthetics on social media, if they have particular fonts and colors and things
Yep.
like that. I do a little bit of that on Instagram
Yeah.
and stuff like that, because I enjoy it. That's why, Instagram is my social media of choice, because I like Instagram. I feel comfortable on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's nice that all the covers fit cohesively within my author brand. So hopefully when you see the covers, well, yeah, that looks like it could be an Emma Mugglestone book, because this is the kind of expectation you have for what my books will look like and things like that.
It's very handy. It's very smart.
Yeah,
And I'm really glad that
absolutely.
it's worked like that. I'm wondering, when you were publishing your traditionally published book In the Long Run, did you feel like there was a little bit of pressure taken off yourself to make decisions around the editing and perhaps cover design that would otherwise be there with self-publishing, or maybe that wasn't the case?
Not so much, to be honest, because I mean, everything was organized by Penguin and Chris. I but I was consulted throughout the whole process,
Yeah.
especially with the cover. I got to see, line sketches and this is the direction we're thinking of going in. Do you have any thoughts? And they were all great. I was really happy with them.
Yeah.
And then with the edits and stuff like that, I I love the editing stage. I struggle with the first draft. I need an attitude adjustment when I'm doing a first draft because I get so frustrated that it's
Mm.
not good yet. And I know the first draft just has to exist.
It
That's
does.
all it has to do. And then one of my favorite writing sayings is your first draft is gathering sand. In your second draft, you can start to build some sand castles, but you can't do that till you've got your sand. And that's what the first draft is. But there's this little voice in the back of my mind with every first draft that goes, what if this was the one that could be perfect though? And it's never going to be
It
perfect. It's
won't.
always going to be a schmozzle.
And that's
It's always going
okay.
to be a mess. And that's the
Yeah.
way it needs to be.
Yes.
So when my husband is always like, oh, are we doing a first draft again? Or because he knows I'm going to
Yeah.
be whinging about it. But the
Mhm.
edits, I love the edits. I love the edits. It's my happy place. And I really enjoy getting other people's opinions on the edits because I always want the book to be the strongest it can be.
Yep.
And I want editors and beta readers. I've got a really lovely group of beta readers who help me with most of my books, and they're the best because I really trust them and I trust their feedback. They know also how I like to receive feedback because I am a bit delicate sometimes. I want you to tell me what doesn't work, but if there was
Yeah.
something you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate if you could be like, this was good.
That is so fair.
It's
That
just me
makes
being
sense.
a little bit precious.
Yeah,
Um,
I can
but
relate.
yeah, well, because it's like I do want like
So
please
fair.
take my story and poke holes in it.
Please.
Please show me the weak points because I think you definitely get to that point where it's like I can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, oh,
I'm
yes.
so deep in this story.
We've all
I
been
don't know
there.
what's going on. I
Hmm.
can't be objective anymore. And
Yeah.
you need this fresh eyes to come in and be like, this really doesn't make sense.
And
Like
it's
I have
exciting
no
to
idea
have
what's
fresh
happening here.
eyes.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I don't want readers to tell me about problems with the book. I want to get rid of the problems before readers are going to see it.
Yeah.
And that's what the edits do. So I love the editing process. And I always say to people, like, go hard, go for it.
Go
Like,
for it.
you can't hurt my feelings. You really can't. I'm not going to be offended by anything you say
No.
because you're helping me make this better. And that's
Absolutely.
my end goal.
Yep.
So I've been very fortunate that all the editors I've worked with have been really lovely anyway
Yeah.
and supportive of the story. And I don't think I've ever had a major bit of feedback that I've straight away been like, oh, no, we couldn't possibly change it to that or something.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, of course, you get your edits and you have to sit with stuff for a couple of days and you'll be like,
Yes.
oh, initially you're like, oh, I don't know about that. And then 2 days later, you're like, oh, it actually kind of does make sense if I stop and think about it, really, doesn't it? Yeah, I can see what they're saying.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So it was just a really great process for trad and for my indie books
That's
because
so good to hear.
everyone wants to put out the best story possible,
That's right. Yeah.
and
They
we're
all want
all
the same
working
thing.
together. It's a team effort, really.
They're
So
passionate about it.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and they're skilled and they have a lot of expertise. Please, I would like to learn.
That's it. They're there to help.
know?
They want the book to
Yeah,
succeed, and they probably develop a real passion for the book as well. And I think that's the most exciting part of working with editors in the
yeah,
self-published space as well, is how into it they get in your story too. It does feel like an excited beta reader sometimes. It just feels like they want to see you succeed, and I definitely
yeah. I
appreciate
completely
that.
agree, and my
Yeah.
experience in the traditional world has been the exact same. The exact same. So
So
if
wonderful.
that wasn't so, the pressure I felt for in the long run, all the pressure I felt for in the long run came from myself. I was
Yeah.
very worried about what happens if I can't finish this book? What happens if it's not what Penguin was expect? Have I overpromised and will I underdeliver?
All those
That was,
thoughts.
yeah, I had lots of nerves about that. And I was worried about trying, because I mean, it's not a story idea. You know how sometimes you have a story idea,
Yep.
but you can't write it yet because you've got other things on, or it's
Yep.
not the right time for whatever
The
reason.
time. Yeah.
It sits with you. It's in the back of your mind, tinkering away, and you're slowly refining it over several months. It might even be years, depending on certain story ideas.
Yep.
this wasn't the case within the long run. Like it was not on
Yes.
my radar at all. And then I had to create this story
Yep.
and write it quite quickly. So that was where most of my fears and imposter syndrome really sat within. And I'm so lucky because I've got wonderful, wonderful writing friends, some of whom are my beta readers as well. And I could just send them messages and say, guys, I don't think I can do this. And I would, within really quickly, I would get the response of, you can do this. You are going to do it. Like, just go for a walk, or it's going to be okay. I know you're stressed, but you can do this and we can help you if you need it. And it's just having that sounding board and that support. It was the same as with my family. You know, I said to my husband when this came around, I have to write this really quickly. I'm going to need as much writing time as I can have to get it done. Because I usually write during the day when my kids are at school.
Yep.
And that's kind of my writing time. And I don't write on Wednesdays. It's my day off to catch up on life admin
Everything
sort of
else.
things.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a million things you need to do with a family and a household and a job,
As a
all these
mother.
things that everybody does every day. It's not unique to me. It's an
Yes.
experience that we all go through. And you know, I'm lucky that he is so supportive. He said, well, let's, you know, Saturdays, you're just at the library. We will bank on you not being around on Saturdays to add some extra writing time into your week. And if you need to write at night or whatever. So it was a real team effort to get it done and to not, so that I wouldn't feel guilty about, you know, I didn't always go to basketball games for my son because I couldn't, because I had to work and things like, but it wasn't a big deal that I was there. Sorry, that I wasn't there. It was just accepted that for this period of time, this was going to be the priority. And that it was okay to do something that really was mostly just for me.
Exactly.
You know, it was my dream, but it wasn't a big deal. The family just supported me in doing it. My mum came down in school holidays so that I could work throughout the weeks. And, you know, like I don't want my kids to be sitting around bored at home because I'm working and there's nothing for them to do. Mum came down, she took them out. My in-laws also helped out. It was a real team effort
to help me. Selfless you are to be still thinking about other people's happiness. Well, obviously your children's happiness when you are focusing on something that I'm sure felt selfish, quote unquote, because it's seriously not to follow your dreams. But I think that it's so wonderful that you had so much support there, but you were still thinking, how is everyone else going to, I know that feels like such a mother's kind of
it's just a mum response, isn't it? Is everybody okay? Are we okay with this?
But
I know you're fine. I know you're fine, but I just want to make sure. So like, and that knowing that I had that support is how I got over the fears of what if I can't fit. My husband was like, you're just going to finish it.
That's it.
You are, because you're going to do it. Correct. You want to do it. You're going to do it. We're going to clear the path as much as we can to support you if you need that to get it done. And that was all my fears for the book, was more that it would be like, because I don't know if you know this, when you get a traditional publishing deal, the manuscript has to be accepted even after you sign. So you sign the contract and then a few months later the manuscript has to be accepted. And I was very like, but what happens if it's not accepted? Like, what are we going to do? Does the deal fall over? Like, is that just the end of it? Do I get another, if I submit something and it's not quite right, are you going to be like, you get another go, but this is it, sort of thing?
Goodness.
And see, I didn't know that at all. And I guess perhaps you would have had a lot more written when you got the deal initially. Like, a lot of manuscripts are full manuscripts that get picked up. Obviously there are still lots as well that are partials or halves or whatever percentage is completed. So the publisher knows exactly what they're getting at that point. But that wasn't the case with Long Run. It was only a couple of chapters and a synopsis. And I was really, really worried about that. But Chris is wonderful with communication, and she was like, no question is too small, ask me anything, because she knew it was my first experience with traditional publishing. And when I said, like, what happens if it doesn't get accepted, she's like, you're going to be fine, just don't do something, like, just don't do something random and put vampires in all of a sudden, like out of nowhere we've got vampires in our run club, because that's not what we're expecting. And you know what, it was fine. I just had to, but I didn't know that was part of traditional publishing because I've had no experience.
That is anxiety inducing because there would be a part of me that goes, yeah, but like, I know you've given me a brief, just like creating a design. You know that someone wants this and they want specific colors and all that stuff. but then you're still doing it, and it does have to be accepted at the end of the day to get your payments
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing. And you go, what if this is not what they're after
What
at
if it's
all?
wrong?
What if
What
it's
if it's
wrong?
what if I've misinterpreted
Yeah,
something?
no,
And
no, it
spoiler
wasn't.
alert, it was okay.
It
I
was
survived. The book is a book.
the
It's
book
all good.
is here and it's in the airport too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely made it out of that.
Yeah.
But that is a really interesting insight into how traditionally publishing goes with picking up a manuscript and having to accept it. That's something I just didn't even know. So
No, neither. I was like, what does this what do you mean it has to be
another
accepted? Hasn't
hoop,
it already been accepted? How
another
many
hoop
times
to
does it
jump
have to be
through.
accepted?
Like, and then you'll get it published, and then you'll be like, is it all
Are we
good
good?
now?
Are we
Yeah,
good? Are we okay?
like it's gone to print. Gosh,
Yeah.
amazing. I will ask you a little bit more about Wattle Junction, if that's
Yep.
okay,
Of
because
course.
Wattle Junction just sounds like a beautiful Australian romance, like novel series, because wattles are synonymous with the Australian bush and the trees. And I love the covers with the wattle trees on it as well. They are beautiful. So, can you give us a bit of an insight into what the series is about? And I know that you did mention that they are following the brothers. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
But
the James
yes,
brothers.
the James
So
brothers. Yeah.
that's right. And they've lived in Wattle Junction their whole lives, the James family. And Wattle Junction it's like this quintessential cozy Aussie small town.
Love it.
There are a slightly higher number of attractive single people in it, but that's the way the romance world needs it to be. So that's the way it is.
Absolutely. No problem with that.
And every brother gets a book, and the brothers are like in most families, they're quite different.
Yep.
There are four brothers. So the first book is Owen's story. Owen is a lawyer who actually left Wattle Junction after high school to go and do uni and settled in the city, but he's come back to Wattle Junction because he's looking for a fresh start. And he is establishing his own law firm when he comes across a woman who is broken down on the side of the road, and her name is Alice, and she is an influencer whose husband has just accidentally live streamed himself cheating on her, and their perfect marriage is crumbling, and she flees to the small town of Wattle Junction. And Owen is very pragmatic and straightforward, and she's always dressed in sequins and sparkly, and she's used to the public only knowing the version of herself that she chooses to share,
Yes.
rather than who she really is.
Yep.
And Owen becomes her divorce lawyer,
Interesting. So
and that's how they fall in love. But then we have the next series. That book is called The Reality of Us.
Yep.
And the next book is The Story of Us, which is about Nate and Eloise. And Nate also left Wattle Junction after school, but he moved to America and he played in the NFL for a number of years before he returned to Wattle Junction. And he's actually an author now. He writes these sort of like, they're not mysteries, but he doesn't write romance, that's for sure. He writes these books about a small town in America, and they've been quite successful. And he sort of is trying to find his place back in Wattle Junction now, because everyone knows him as the local boy made good international superstar. And he's very quiet and shy, and he's got some secrets of his own. And he's always had a soft spot for his for his best friend, little sister Eloise, who is the town's social worker. And their story it's like love in all the little quiet moments that lots of people don't notice.
Yep.
And you can't see from the outside. And Nate and Eloise are my favorite couple. I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but they're my favorites. And he's so different to Owen.
Yeah.
And then we have Teddy, whose book will publish in April next year, all going well. And he's the youngest, and he's the larrikin. Everybody loves Teddy, but he kind of struggles to be taken seriously, which he plays into. And he is going to be partnered with Jessica, who is a single mother. The way I think about Teddy and Jessica is he's the boy who never grew up.
Yep.
And she's the girl who grew up too quickly. Because she had to. Yeah. And there's an overarching crime storyline across the whole series that will culminate in the final brother Rafferty's book, because Rafferty is a detective, and his ex-girlfriend left Wattle Junction underneath under circumstances that we don't know about at this point. But we know that he's a detective and he's been investigating this family that are like the local criminals and things like that. And it's all going to tie together in his book. And it's just been the most fun to write. It all started from a writing prompt in a course I did with the Australian Writers Centre. There's what the question was: your character finds a dead body. What do they do next?
What do they do next?
And I remember when I was doing this course, my tutor kept saying to me, I think you're writing a crime. I think you are. I was like, no. This is a romance that just so happens to be a dead body at the beginning.
Yeah.
The dead body is not the important part. The romance is the important part.
Yep.
And it's just been so much fun. I don't know, if I was to talk to aspiring authors, I'm not sure I would say start off with a series. I might say, in hindsight, I might say start with a standalone.
That's interesting. Yeah.
See how you go with a standalone. But I wouldn't have done it any differently. And like you were saying before, if I didn't have Wattle Junction, if I hadn't indie published Wattle Junction, I wouldn't have been on Rachel Johns' radar. I wouldn't have been in the Romance Writers of Australia and known Rachel through that. I wouldn't have in the long run.
Yep.
It just wouldn't have happened. So
put it out there.
You have to do things in your own time under whatever circumstances suit you. I needed to indie publish to feel confident as an author.
Yeah.
With sharing my stories and things like that. Because it's one thing when you share them with friends and family.
Yeah.
Your friends and your family are always going to say they're great and always be supportive because they love you and they want you to succeed. Yes. Which is really important. And I don't mean to discount that support in any way. But that's different to asking strangers for their money to purchase this from you. Which is what we're doing, you know. So I just needed to take my time and do it the way that I did it because that was what was right for me. For other people, I mean, and there are also a lot of people who just want to be indie published. They aren't interested in being traditionally published, and all the different versions are valid. Some people just want to share stories. They don't even, you know, they're not looking to make it a side hustle or a full-time wage. They just want to share their stories.
Exactly.
And whatever is right for you is what's right for you and is amazing.
Yep. There's so many different avenues to do it.
Absolutely.
And to achieve your dream of being an author. And self-publishing allows for that. And traditionally publishing, yes, it does open up different opportunities, but it's not limited to the self-publishing world in that you can still put your work out there, still receive, you know, the joy of people finding your book and buying your book and other things like that, and having your book in bookshops and all that.
Absolutely. Too. And I mean, also there are so many very, very successful self-published authors who are earning full-time wages and are running very successful businesses based on their stories. So, you know, like anything is possible under both methods. And the flip side of as well of if you were someone who perhaps wanted to be traditionally published and that was your goal, you didn't want to indie publish because let's face it, indie publishing is a lot of work as well. And I know for me it was a steep learning curve. I loved it and I would do it again in a heartbeat. But if that's not right for you,
it's a lot.
That's totally fine. If you want to be traditionally published, pursue that. Go for it.
You've got to go.
It's just got to be right for you.
Yes. Yep. And it has to align as well. Don't be disheartened too if traditionally publishing doesn't come with your first manuscript or whatever that you query and all that stuff. There's other ways to get yourself out there. So it's very, very good advice from yourself, Emma. I really appreciate it. To finish our wonderful chat, can you let us know where people can find you on social media and any upcoming events that people can see you at?
I am, like I said, most active on Instagram. I am also on TikTok, but I flirt in and out with TikTok depending on how much brain space I have for it, really, to be honest. But you can find me at emma.mugglestone on both those platforms. I also have a newsletter which is called Love Is All I Read via Substack. All the links for this are on my website, which is www.emmamugglestone.com. And for events, I think I'm actually finished with events for this year,
Yep.
which is exciting. I've had a wonderful year of events.
Big year.
But next year I will be at, I'm trying to think what's Wild Out West, which is going to be in Perth in May.
Wow.
I went to Wild Out West earlier this year and it was fantastic. I'm really excited to come back.
Yep.
And I'm going to do the indie bookworm. Have you done an indie bookworm?
I haven't done one yet. I attended the one that was like for industry, or it was something like that.
Yeah, in February or something earlier this year.
Yeah, that was amazing. So I will be at the indie bookworm event in August. Are you in
I'll
that
see
one?
you there. Yes, I'll be there for that as well.
Okay, awesome.
And then I have a couple of other ones. I don't think they've been announced yet.
Yes.
So maybe I shouldn't say what they are.
Okay.
But I've got quite a nice calendar of events coming up next year that I'll share more about as we get closer to the new year, which I'm sure will be here before we know it, because I feel like Christmas is starting to hurtle at us very quickly now.
I'm a bit intimidated by all the spending that has to be done for that time of the year as well. But yes,
And the organization. It's the organization of all the presents and events and end of school year festivities that are starting to ramp up. And it's a fun time of year, but it's a lot. So
there are lots of books out there for people to purchase.
There are.
I'm wonderful people in your life.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves romance, guys. Everybody deserves romance and a fantasy with romantic elements.
Oh, yes, that too. If you're interested in something maybe on the darker side, but we've got a wonderful Run Club romance novel right here to stuff your stockings and everything like that. There it is. So there's some inspiration for your Christmas holiday purchases.
No running required if it's not your thing. I promise you will not be asked to run. No. And there's also a lot of patisserie items mentioned. So
let them run
carbs or cardio, whatever's your thing.
Whatever. Or both. Who knows?
Both. Enjoy. Sky's the limit.
That's right. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to see what's next for you, Emma.
Thank you.
Your trajectory is just going up and up and up. And you've already achieved so much in your years of writing that a lot of writers out here would be incredibly inspired to follow in your footsteps. So you are an inspiration to have such an amazing insight into two different worlds of publishing and writing. So for you to graciously give your insight, experience, and chat about everything on this show today means the world to me. And it will
thank you. No, thank you for having me. You've done me the favor.
No, you have done me the favor. It's my pleasure to have you on this show because I know that I've learned a lot. So many people listening to this will learn a lot from your experience. So thank you, Emma, for everything that you've shared today. Really appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anytime. Thank you so much for watching the Indie Author Life show. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to know more about my own literary journey or the journey of some of our guests that you might have seen on the show, please consider subscribing or following my Substack or my YouTube channel. Finally, if you want to know more about my novel, Still Waters Run Deep, it is available on many distribution websites such as Amazon, Etsy, Baventi, you name it. All that information will be in the show notes if you're interested in learning more about my story to do with elemental magic and coming of age. Take care, everyone, and see you in the next episode.